Hello, I'm Stephanie Cheah, the founder of the British Education and School Show in Asia. This is our Ask the Head series, which we are featuring on BESSA Connect. BESSA Connect is our platform for connecting parents with boarding schools in the UK and British curriculum schools in Singapore. In this series, we put ourselves in the shoes of prospective parents living overseas and interview the heads of some schools in the UK, focusing on questions that overseas parents often ask. Today, it gives me great pleasure in welcoming John Moore, the warden of Radley College, that is to say the headmaster. He joins us from Oxford, where he has been head of this all-boys full boarding school since 2014. Hello, John. It's wonderful to have you on BESSA Connect and on our Ask the Head series. Thank you very much for being here. Who best to introduce a school than its headmaster? So without much further ado, I shall pass over to John, who will give us an introduction to his school and tell us a lot more about the college.
Hello, my name is John Mole and I'm the warden of Radley College, which is a boys' boarding school based near Oxford in the UK. We're one of 4 boys-only, all boarding schools in the UK. And I'm very proud to be the warden. Warden is just a Radley word for headmaster, and I'm the 18th warden of a college which has existed on this site since 1847. We're proud of our 170 years of tradition. We're a school that tries to balance the very best of that tradition, but at the same time offering a cutting-edge education. 750 boys attend Radley, split into 11 boarding houses. We call those boarding houses socials, and that is to emphasise that sense of community which pervades the college. Almost all our staff live on site. It's very much a campus community, and we benefit from a wonderful site. We're lucky enough to be in what feels like the centre of English countryside, with an 800-acre estate around us that Radley College owns. We're blessed with amazing facilities, whether it be our own golf course, whether it be state-of-the-art buildings, whether it be high-quality boarding accommodation, a wonderful chapel that we're just extending to fit a slightly expanded school, wonderful playing fields. All our facilities are fantastic, and it's great to be part of that campus community all living together. But at the same time, we're lucky enough to be just 4 miles or so away from one of the premier university cities of the world, a vibrant, exciting city. I'm slightly biased. Oxford was my university, but it's great to have links with the city and with the university, and yet at the same time have that sense of our own space in the middle of the English countryside. We're a school which emphasises all-round excellence. We're selective, but we're not ruthlessly selective. We're seeking to have boys from all sorts of backgrounds and making our priority the bringing out of their potential over the 5 years they're with us. We love our sport, our art, our music, our drama, but we're unashamedly an academic school that seeks to achieve the very best results. But I guess our fundamental aim is to produce young men that will make a difference for good in the world, whatever they choose to do and wherever they choose to do it. We want Radleyans to be young men who are confident but not arrogant, who are able perhaps to reflect themselves on what they think, that have the strength of character and the values underpinning that character that will enable them to stand up for what is right. But also the skill and the ability to engage with people from all backgrounds and all places as they go out into the world. That's fundamentally the purpose of a Radley College education. But along the way, we want them to enjoy their time with us. We want them to benefit from the array of opportunities that we give. And we want them to achieve. We want them to achieve in all areas of college life to the very best of their ability.
Thank you, John. Can you tell us how many boys at Radley live overseas and what are some of their backgrounds?
It's great to have a number of international students at the school, and we very much welcome boys from all over the world. We have boys coming from various countries in Asia, whether it be mainland China or Hong Kong or Korea or Japan or Thailand or Malaysia or others. But of course we have boys from other parts of the world as well. We love that fact, the fact we've got boys from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, America, Brazil, Russia, Spain, France, Germany, Belgium, Bulgaria, Poland, just to name a few off the top of my head. The number of international students in the school ranges slightly. It's not the be-all and end-all. We don't operate a quota system, but at the same time we're proud of the fact we're an traditional English boarding school, and we believe that's the sort of school that the international students who come to us want. So we think about 10 to 12% is roughly the right percentage of boys coming from international context. So of course that's not always easy to define. We have British students living abroad coming, whose families are abroad coming to study here. We have boys from different racial backgrounds who happen to live in the UK coming to study here. But roughly 10 to 12%, slightly higher in the sixth form, where we welcome about 15 to 20 new boys every year into the school at age 16 to help out a different dimension for those sixth form years. And quite a few of those boys would be from international backgrounds.
Does Radley's boarding provision have any weekly or flexi arrangements? What is life in your school like as a boarder?
All our boys are boarders, so we have no day students, and that of course makes life easier in the sense that we know where all the boys are here all the time, and that means that the school day is elongated and there is no sense of them and us between the day side and the boarding side. All our staff live on site, and so we very much make the most of that full school day and that full school week in order to make the most of the opportunities we have educationally here. In that sense, we are full boarding, so we don't offer weekly boarding or flexi boarding. All boys are here at the weekend. There is some flexibility around that now and again, but essentially we work on a 3-week rhythm. So we have an exeat weekend once every 3 weeks, and then we have half terms through each term as well. So boys are expected to, required to have a guardian that they can go for those times, but I think it's really encouraging for international parents to know that we are genuinely a 7-day-a-week school where the majority of the boys, the vast majority of the boys are here all the time at weekends, such that things can happen in a vibrant way, and there's no sense in which the school is closing down and opening up again on a Monday. So as a result of that, life as a boarder is busy, it's full of opportunity. Obviously as boys arrive, we perhaps control their time a little bit more, but as they go up through the school, they get the chance to define their own schedule, decide their own priorities, and as a result develop their own character and personality and focus as they specialise in various ways. But it's a busy place. Perhaps the way I illustrate that is there's so many things going on that sometimes I have to choose between one or the other. The boys have to do the same on occasion, but we make sure that we structure it in such a way that a boy can be involved in music and in sport and in the academics and do well and thrive in all three, and that's the advantage of that boarding environment that we are.
Pupils living overseas are often very far away from home. Can you please tell us a little bit about how they are helped to settle into the Radley community?
Obviously one of our priorities, our main priority, is to make sure that every boy feels happy and safe in our community. Pastoral care is at the heart of all that we do. There's a whole structure around that, of course. The boy is looked after primarily by their tutor, what we call boarding housemasters, and the pastoral house mistress, perhaps what other schools call matrons. There's also a residential sub-tutor that lives within the boarding house. So there's that sort of team of 3 that sort of form the core part of the pastoral oversight. But that's only the beginning of it. Each boy has a form master, each boy has a mentor from within the boys that will look after them during their opening weeks. Every single member of staff through their form mastering is part of a boarding house structure. Then of course we have our counselling service, we have the medical centre, we have the chaplaincy, and then of course have the overarching management team that oversees all that. But that's just the structure. And one of the things I really want to encourage people to think about as they come to schools in the UK is to look beyond the structure sometimes, which is important, and the policies, they matter, but it's about the ethos of the school. And we believe that with 750 boys or so, we can genuinely offer a real individualised care. So sometimes boys that are coming from abroad are worried, they might not have boarded before, it may be the first time that they've spent an extended time away from home, and we recognise that. So that there will always be somebody that is ready to keep an eye out for and be a listening ear to any boy as they arrive. One thing I would encourage boys that are coming from abroad to realise that actually it's quite challenging for every boy to start at a boarding school at age 13. Lots of our boys from the UK haven't boarded before, and even if they have, they might be coming from small environments with a few boarders into a slightly bigger environment where they're now the youngest, whereas obviously previously they were the oldest in their schools. So we very much say from day one, every boy that arrives, in a sense, is in the same boat. And we look out for them individually and care for them on an individual basis. We take great pride in the way in which we try to engage with prospective students. We try and put prospective students together where possible before they arrive. So a boy might be put in touch with another family to help think about what the challenges might be. We're always here to listen and to answer any questions both before and during their time at the college. And we encourage parents to be in touch with us on a regular basis if they have any concerns. So I hope that there is a seamless integration of international boys into the community, and certainly there is a sense of welcome and openness about us as they arrive.
Overseas parents are interested in knowing how your term dates, exeats and half terms are structured in order to plan. When and how long are your school holidays? Are you near any airports?
Our structure as a full boarding school is around terms, half terms and exeats. So that we will run about 4 exeats a year, which will be sort of little breaks between Friday lunchtime and Monday evening. Everyone's expected to leave the school at that point, so international boys have to have a guardian that's willing to take them for those periods. And we do encourage you to think carefully about the guardians you choose, such that the boys' experience during those times away from Radley is a good one from a pastoral perspective and a logistical perspective as well. We have a 2-week leave away in the what we call the Michaelmas term, in the autumn term in October, just going into November usually. We have a 1-week half term in February and a 1-week half term in leave away. As I say, we have 4 exeats, 1 in September, 1 in November, 1 in January, and usually 1 in May, depending a little bit on the timing of Easter. We have about 3 weeks at Christmas, 3 weeks at Easter, and about 8 half weeks summer holidays. So it's a fairly standard UK pattern. We also have an opportunity for boys to have what we call privilege weekends, 1 weekend either side of half term. So some boys will be out on a Saturday night back on a Sunday evening, and that applies to international students if they've got family members living in the UK as well. But the vast majority of boys are here at the weekend, and therefore it is not a school which separates that sense of the week and the weekend. We are a 7-day-a-week school running as such. And therefore international boys very much feel part of the wider community all the time, as opposed to feeling left behind in the boarding house at a weekend. We're lucky enough to be an hour and a quarter away from Heathrow Airport, so in terms of the travel arrangements, they're very easy, and we're always here to help organise those travel arrangements through taxi services or whatever it might be, working with you as parents to make sure the boys are safe as they arrive in the UK and as they leave to go home at the end of terms.
Can you share what some of your overseas students have gone on to study and where their career paths have led?
In one sense, we don't make any distinction between our boys in terms of what they go on to achieve, but obviously we're proud of all of them in terms of what they achieve both here at Radley and beyond Radley. We perhaps haven't had as great a history of international students as some schools have had. It's only in relatively recent years that we've opened up to more international students, and that's been a great thing, I think, for the college over the last decade or so, as we've moved from very few international students at all to having a real sense of vibrancy and richness with, as I've said before, about 10 or 12% of the school being international. Perhaps a couple of ours. One was an old Radleyan from many years ago, Alexander Downer, is Australian. He went on to be a leader of a political party, Foreign Secretary in Australia, and then a High Commissioner to England. It was wonderful to welcome him back to Radley a few years ago. More recently, we had a boy that we're very proud of in terms of his academic success, who achieved the top first in biochemistry at Oxford University, having been here for his 6th form years. That's just a couple of examples. But what we want is boys coming from an international context, bringing their culture, bringing their vibrancy, their difference to Radley, and us being able to encourage them and facilitate them to go on to wherever they want to go. The vast majority of our boys, of course, go on to university, and it's great to see perhaps an increasing number going to the US or indeed to other international contexts. We've had boys going to Canada to university, we've had boys going to Europe university, as well as obviously the leading universities in the UK. And often international boys come with a real ambition either to go for the top universities, whether it be Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, UCL in the UK, or perhaps to go to apply to American universities, and are very much set up to support the boys as they aspire to that.
Our next question is always one that you can never find on a website. What do you think is special about your school?
I'm often asked perhaps what is the thing that makes Radley special when parents are choosing schools. What is it that makes Radley different? And there are a variety of things that I'd focus on. But if I was just to come down to perhaps just a couple. One is the extraordinary sense of community that there is in this place. It is purposeful, it is driven, we're trying to achieve things, we pursue excellence, but that's all underpinned by a sense of pastoral care and community. I cannot stress too highly the value of it being a campus school, full boarding, with virtually every member of staff living on site. So there is that sense of interaction with family, interaction with that community all the time. And so the friendships that are built, the quality of relationships that develop, the time that can be given to individual boys to help them, whether it be academic or to inspire them to do new things in new ways, that is at the heart of what we're about. And that would be my second point, just the relationships develop. I'm constantly amazed by the quality of friendships that boys develop, friendships that will last for the rest of their lives, that are developed here during these 5 years. Friendships not just between the boys, but friendships between the boys and the dons. There's a real sense of camaraderie and closeness. Of course, there needs to be a level of respect. Of course, at times boys make mistakes. But the closeness of the boys to the dons, what we call the teachers here, is what makes Radley a very special place.
And finally, we would love to ask you for your advice about choosing a school. What tips can you give to an overseas parent about how they should choose a school for their child?
I know that it's not easy, particularly perhaps when you're unfamiliar with the UK system, or you've got a whole array of schools to choose from as to what you are going to have as that factor that determines which school you go to. If I can just give a couple of pieces of advice. One is to go deep into the website. Don't just take the headlines and the propaganda, but perhaps go deep into the website. It isn't about one major speaker coming, it's how many times do they get speakers in. It isn't just about that one boy's achievement, it's about how many boys have achieved that. It isn't just about whether there's a really good team in a sport, but how many teams are the school putting out. So really take your time to go beyond the headlines. We're very good at propaganda in these schools. Go beyond that to the heart of it. Second thing I'd say is if you can visit the schools, because you then just get a sense of the place. Thirdly, talk to people that you know that have got children at schools in the UK and get a sense of that. But fourthly, most importantly, ultimately get all the information you can and just go with your gut and ask one question: will my son be happy? Indeed, will your daughter at other schools? Will your son or daughter be happy in that environment? Because if they're happy, everything else will stem from that. Academic success, personality growth, achievements and success in the co-curricular world as well. All that will stem from whether they are happy in the environment. So get all the information you can, but you know your children better than anybody else. And go with the place which has the ethos, the people, the messaging, and the detail that will make your son or daughter happy where they go. We love what we do here at Radley. Look forward to welcoming some of your sons to us in due course.
Thank you very much, John, for those wise words. I couldn't agree more with you about doing lots of research before making a decision on a school choice. Every school has its own ethos, its own culture, its own strengths, and a parent's instinct about whether their child will fit into a particular school is also important. The admissions process should allow for both the school and the parents to consider a good match. It does take two to tango. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you've learned something about the college. And if you would like to connect with them, do visit their virtual booth on BESSA Connect and get in touch. See you there.
Here's how HSBC Premier's overseas education support can make sending your child abroad a whole lot easier. Meet Katie. Katie's parents are HSBC customers and are sending her to study in the UK. To help her decide on her school, Katie made use of Premier benefits like complimentary education consultations and placement tests. Once she decided where to study, Katie then set up her Premier account and got her credit card sent to her even before she left town. Whilst in the UK, Premier benefits allow Katie's parents to send telegraphic transfers for her school fees free of charge. Katie's day-to-day banking is also made easier, as she can manage all her HSBC accounts with a single login and perform cash withdrawals in 10 currencies with the Everyday Global Debit Card. Find out more about HSBC Premier now.